Hello friends, Tim here from Inside Hawk, and today we're going to be taking things to the next level. In our last video, we imported accounts from a separate source, which was just an Excel spreadsheet. But today, we're going to be importing accounts and transactions, basically the entire financial position, and not just from a spreadsheet, but from an entire accounting platform. Now, usually, accounting platforms are not too friendly with one another, but at Inside Hawk, we are friends with everyone, as you will see. Let's dive in. We will start here at the Way of Accounting dashboard, where I'm logged into my account, and I'm in the Adams Family workspace. In this workspace, I have a few transactions, some of which you can see here under Transactions, and the oldest transaction is in December 2024. Now, I will want to first produce an income statement where I see basically the summary of my workspace from December 2024 until today. And we note that our net profit is $34,075. Next, we want to get all of the transactions from Wave, and Wave allows us to do it as a CSV file. So I will simply duplicate this tab first because I don't want to lose my income statement. And here I will go into Business Settings, Data Export, and I will have the transactions export sent to me in my email. And the next step would be to open the CSV in the software of your choice. I will be using Google Sheets. I will also close this tab because it's no longer needed. Now, once you download the document that was sent to you by Wave in your email, you can open it and you will see that it has 4 different CSVs, and the one that we find interesting is accounting. And here we are. We're not going to make any changes to this CSV. I simply want to showcase some of the columns that we will be using. The main column is account name, and this will be the debit account for every transaction. Then the column that's titled other accounts for this transactions will be the credit account for every transaction. And the amount column will be here under debit account. Now, Wave also offers you a one-column approach with negative numbers, but generally I don't like dealing with negative numbers. It makes things complicated, so we will use the debit amount two-column approach. And also, you will notice that it has some empty cells here. Now, I will not filter them out simply to save some time, but in practice, you might want to remove the empty cells or remove all of the rows which have an empty amount cell. So let's continue. It is now time to navigate to our accounting platform inside Hawk. As before, we will create a brand new workspace. I will call it Transaction Import Demo. Once it's created, we can navigate to Data Tools Import, where we will import transactions. We will select our CSV, which is the accounting CSV, and here we will map the correct names of the columns to the required properties of Inside Hawk. So our debit account will be the account name, our credit account will be the other accounts for this transaction, our note will be the transaction description, the amount will be the debit amount or two-column approach that we saw before, and the date will be the transaction date. We will not touch the optional properties for now. We will not filter. And here, the system asks us to map each account to the correct category. Most of these are already mapped correctly, but some of them need adjustments. So I already noted which one needs adjustments before this video. So payroll is actually an operating expense and not a current liability. Then, if we continue further, our supplies are not an operating expense, but actually it can be called as a current asset. Then, if we continue here, the telephone and utilities, the system was not able to map these two particular accounts, but these are actually both operating expenses. Now, if we go further, we see that depreciation expense is actually an expense and not an accumulated depreciation. So we will again reclassify it under operating expenses. Finally, the gain on foreign exchange in our Wave workspace is actually a direct source of revenue and not a secondary source of revenue. So we will reclassify it as a direct business revenue. And finally, before I forget, we also have a very important category, which is service to be provided, basically unearned revenue, which the system incorrectly places under direct business revenue, but it is actually a liability, and it can be classified as deferred revenue. Now that we've made all of our corrections, we can click on Next, and we see that the system will create 24 new accounts, 78 new transactions. We click Proceed, and we see that the transactions have been created, and we can see all of them here. Now, of course, we have a lot of zero transactions because we have empty cells in our CSV. Again, in practice, you might want to adjust your CSV to avoid these zero transactions. But more importantly, if we actually navigate to reporting and the income statement, we can pick the same dates as we did in Wave. So the start date was December 1st, and the end date was August 1st. And if we now produce the income statement, we see that the bottom line is 34,075, exactly what we had in Wave. For instance, our income is 48,775, same thing. And if we actually break down the operating expenses, which are 14,450, we get exactly the same thing as we would in Wave, as you can see here. So these amounts are all exactly the same. And we can then actually, in Inside Hawk, we can get the PDF. So we can either get the regular short version of this income statement, or we can have the detailed version, which features the breakdown of each category and how each account affects, for instance, our direct business revenue. As you just saw, we were able to complete an entire migration from Wave Accounting into Inside Hawk in a matter of minutes. On top of that, we were able to validate our migration by using the income statement. Now, at Inside Hawk, we work very hard at these features so that you, the user, are in full control of your financial data. Like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And until next time, have yourselves a great day.